Hello. Hello. Welcome, everyone. I'm not Dr. I am not Dr. Marcia. Hi, I am LaTrice Huff, and I'm going to be hosting today. So, as a partnership with the HBCU Career Center, I will be presenting today for you all. And I am into their account and I couldn't figure out how to change my name. So, as you all are coming in, say hey, say hi. I am LaTrice. I'm going to turn this background off. There we go. We'll just do with the plain background. Welcome. As you all are coming in, let me know where you all are joining from. Again, I am Latrice Huff. I'm so sorry. So just a couple minutes late. I had a teeny bit of technical stuff, but I am joining you all from Texas. It is sunny here. It is wonderful. Oh, we got people from New Jersey, okay, Florida, Virginia, okay, ATL, Tennessee. You are coming in from everywhere. I am loving this. Oh my goodness, Charlotte. I am huge in North Carolina and California. I am huge there. I see some people from North Carolina. This is so good. Okay. You all, we're going to get right into it because if you have seen me present before, you all know I give a lot of information. So this is being recorded, but I highly recommend having some pen and paper, making sure that you take notes. I have some client examples. If we have time, I even have like a little client video. This is if we have time, you guys. um, but I have left time in the presentation for questions. And if you all have seen me speak before, you know I like things very interactive. So feel free to put things in the chat. But I do have a Q&A section at the end as well, because I have things on my slides. And y'all, I put extra notes. I actually surveyed even my clients in my audience, like, what questions do you all have? What do you want to know? So thank you all for coming. I am going to go ahead and get my slides up. So again, it's just going to be me covering the chat. So feel free to kind of give me some encouragement, you guys. Add your comments. If I happen to miss a comment, please just add it at the end when we have the Q&A. All right. Oh, Mississippi in the house. Love it, love it, love it. All right. We're going to get started. I may need a tech person to be like, okay, Latrice, we hear you, we see you, and we can see your slides. Okay. So I may need a volunteer. Let me. Okay. Can you all see my slides and then me in the little box? Can somebody give me a yay? Yes, thumbs up. Thank you. Loving these emojis. All right. Y'all can. Cool. I love this. I'm going to make it bigger. And is it full size? Because for me, it's not full size. Okay. So welcome to Pivoting Careers Beyond 40, you guys. It was so much fun for me to put this together. I put some personal stories in here. I'm gonna tell you my husband business. I'm gonna have so much fun. I am over 40 myself. My husband is over 40. Most of my clients are over 40. And if you all attended the Beyond 40 resume section, then you know I give practical real world tips and examples. I've added a little bit in here about the resume because that was a hot topic and I wanted to make sure that that is covered. But we are going deep, okay? We're going to make this as fun as possible, but as informational as possible too. Don't have a lot of, I try not to give you all too many slides, but I do have a lot of real world examples because I want to show and I want you all to know you can successfully pivot careers 40, 50, 60. My oldest client, I think she was 67. She was 67. I want you to know 40 is, y'all, look, we're young. If y'all 40 and over, give me some, hey, y'all, look, we're young, we vibrant, we're looking good. 40 is not the 40 that it used to be. Okay? 40 is not the 40 it used to be. If y'all feel me, y'all know this is not what it used to be, okay? So giving you all real world examples, I do want to hear from you all and some of the challenges because there are unique challenges, right? So I am so excited, so happy to be presenting this to you all in partnership with the HBCU Career Center. They have also graciously offered to sponsor 10 resume reviews for you guys. Okay. So if you're interested in that, you do just have to create an account. Be sure to stay to the end. I'll give you a little more information, and I have that in here as well. So, I mean, they're doing amazing things. I'm just so honored to partner with them. Okay. Again, I am your host, LaTrice Huff. We're going to get into it. Oh. All right, there we go. I was like, don't play with me, slides. Don't play with me. All right, I want you all to take notes and comment. Comment, have your questions, have your pen and paper, okay? What you're going to learn today, we're going to get clear on your pivoting goals and what you are looking for when you pivot. Okay, that's very important that you know what you want. I have some very unique theories and ways to do it, especially because, like, y'all think when we were younger, we kind of listened to everybody else about our career. Now that we're wiser, more mature, we know what we want, and it's so important to get clear on that. Okay. Also, going to tell you all, we touching on the resume. I'm touching on the resume. It's not going to be the whole presentation, but that resume is a huge part, and I've seen people make costly mistakes with their resumes. So we're going to touch on some things you need to consider with your resume when you're pivoting beyond 40, okay? I'm also going to cover 4 of the top mistakes when pivoting beyond 40 and give you the solutions to them, okay? And then also we're going to talk about transferable skills, how to identify them, how to explain what they are. I have a unique way of thinking about transferable skills. We're going to talk about that. And throughout the presentation, I'm going to be telling you all about how to avoid age discrimination. Um, and it is real, right? And with age discrimination being real, you can still successfully pivot in your career beyond 40. You can make money, the same amount of money. I'm going to talk about that. You make the same amount of money, and you can do something that you enjoy and that lights you up, right? Even if you're 40 and over. So, hey, I'm going to do a quick intro. Yeah. I am LaTrice, career coach, leadership coach, speaker, personal branding expert. I am an HR veteran, and I am the founder of Fearless Branding Formula and my leadership program, Leadership Legacy. I help women of color stop playing it safe, become fearless, and land 6-figure jobs they love. And I get this question a lot of, do I work with men? Yes, I do work with men. Y'all, somebody should tell me how to change this versus Marcia FR. I wish I could change it, but okay. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know who's talking, right? I have supported really at that point over 100, really at this point, probably thousands of clients in transitioning careers, transitioning jobs, landing 6-figure roles, landing leadership roles. I really specialize in personal branding. And I believe that personal branding syncs everything together. If you focus on your brand, everything else will fall into place. Your brand is your reputation, what you stand for, your core gifts, your unique way of doing things. So that is the core skill that I teach with my clients, and that's how I have them easily transition. So I'll share some of those tips and things that we do because I have some real world examples in here. But yes, I am known for my results, and that my clients typically increase their salaries anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 and land 6-figure promotions, regardless of a recession and regardless of the job market. Hear me out, regardless of the job market. We will be talking about that. So here's my quick story. Here's our story. This is my family. So sometimes people are like, oh, LaTrice, no, you've always been like this. No, you guys, I was a single mom for several years. Then I met my husband, quit my job. You want to talk about started over, had a baby, had a new career, everything. Okay. So I have over 10 years, at this point, it's 15 years experience in HR. I started off entry level from recruiting to running my own department to now owning my own coaching business, right? I negotiated a $20,000 promotion for myself. I got promoted every year to every other year and doubled my income like that. And I mostly did that with personal branding, understanding my transferable skills, because I have always changed careers. I've had several careers. I was not one of these people who stayed in HR and did that exclusively. My degree isn't even in HR. A lot of people are like, no, I actually have a business degree. Um, and so I went from like being a waitress to accounting to marketing to HR to now owning my own business, which I consider myself like CEO as well, to in owning an own career and leadership coaching business. So that those are constant transitions. It's identity shifts. Each time I had to shift my identity, and I'm going to give you all some spoiler alerts. I never felt like I was starting from scratch. Okay. I felt like I was, when I was a waitress into accounting one, I hated accounting, but um, I dealt with money all the time. This was back in the day. Y'all know now waitresses, you order through the little thing, little tablet or whatever, you pay through that. Now, who remember back in the day when you actually had to speak to somebody and the waitress came over and she took your money and she gave you your change? That was me, right? That was I was that type of waitress, right? And to going into accounting and then from accounting going into marketing, completely different shift, completely different. Right. And now I teach you all exactly what I did. I teach my clients how to overcome their fear in their career, transition and pivot into a career they love and have a salary they deserve. That's what I'm going to teach you all. Because money is important too. So as we go through this, I don't want you all thinking like, now that I'm 40, I kind of have to. I've heard people say like burn down their career or start over from scratch. That's not what I'm going to teach you all today. It's not what we're going to talk about. Okay. We're gonna pretty much be talking about how to use what you already have to land a career that you love. Okay. So let me ask you all this. We're kind of gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. What do you want to do with the second half of your career slash life? Because we all know at this point things overlap. What do you want to do? You can just put it in the chat. You can put a sentence. You can give me one word. But I want you all to think about this. Because if you're thinking about pivoting, you should you should know what you want for your life. And here's the thing, and I put life too because your career is just a slice of your life. And I believe your career should not be your sole source of happiness. It also shouldn't make you miserable. It shouldn't be abusive. It shouldn't be undervaluing you and making you feel devalued and disrespected. Okay. So I want you, as you think about pivoting, you have to consider what do you want in the second half of your life and your career? Because if you're here, you probably have several years experience, and this could be your second act. What do you want? I'm like, all right, project management, stable and give value. No, you want something different. Bianca, I get that. That is the most common answer. People like LaTrice, I don't know, just something different than I have. Okay, but then what does different look like? Does different look like a more flexible schedule? Does different look like maybe if you're behind a computer, does it look like you're in front of people? If you've been in front of people and you're like, no, I want to be behind the computer, what does that look like? Let's see. Oh, pivoting my sales, tech education and consulting, remote work. A lot of you all are saying remote work. Let me give y'all a look. Let me tell y'all what's been going on too. They're now calling it post-COVID language, and it's called hub-based. So hub-based could still be remote, but now companies don't want to say like hybrid and remote or things like that. I would also, if you're someone and you're like, I want remote, look for remote first companies. They have companies out there that are considered remote first and that were remote before 2020. You're gonna want those. I'm looking, this is good. Data analytics, remote, yes. Get my degree. Wow. In my 40s, remote job and owning my own business. Yes. A lot of my clients start their own business in their late 30s and 40s. Mhm. Freelance writing, tech, real estate development. Wow. Okay, Tamika. Okay. Definitely, everybody's like definitely remote work. If you've been going into the office for for like 20 years plus, yes. Oh, PhD cancer research. Wow. Okay, you all okay. This is amazing. Escalated calls, and I'm tired. Yeah. Y'all, if you're tired of getting the worst, there's a worst going. Let me tell y'all, if you're like, I don't want to deal with that anymore. That that was one of the main things that shifted me from waitressing. I don't want to deal with the public like this anymore. I want a little bit more control, right? Human resources, owning my own venue. Wow. Certified bridal consultant. Wow. I hate the office. Yes. And that's what I'm finding is like, I find that people who have been outside a lot, they're like, no, you know what? The second half, I want to be inside. And then people who have been inside are like, I am tired of the office. Like, I will be quite happy if I never see a desk and chair again. The pay I deserve. Yes. Okay. So I want you all to think about that. Like, so you know what you want in your second half. What do you think is required to pivot beyond 40? And I want you all to be honest here. Let's really get this out. What do you think is required to pivot beyond 40? And I ask my clients this question a lot. And a lot of what I get always take it's always some sort of like sacrifice. So I want to hear what you are tech skills, strong skill set, clear vision and a plan. Yes, practical skills, time to develop a realistic plan. Yes, but I will tell you a realistic plan could take you an afternoon. Right? It doesn't have to take that long. Energy. Yes, it will take energy. Let me tell you something. It will take energy and effort. And I've had someone come to me and she was like, well, I don't want to do anything. I just wanted to come to me. I was like, well, what do you think is going to come to you if you're not doing anything? Right. So it will take energy and effort, but it's nowhere near the energy, effort, and sacrifice we typically think is required. Okay. Getting out. Yes, Shannon, it is. Yes, getting out of your comfort zone. Soft skills and confidence. Yes. In my program, we have a whole 21-day confidence challenge. Yeah. I would say I put confidence right up there with branding. Very, very important. A mindset shift. Y'all, if you and this is well, I'll get into this with the mistakes too, but the mindset shift is one of the biggest things that I see keep people stuck because they you've been in an industry or a sector or a section for so long that you can't see anything beyond that, even whether it's a salary, whether it's a boss, whether it's like I have women who are like, well, I've worked at only in male dominated industries, I don't think I can work with women. I'm like, well, women are all around, you're a woman, you can work with women, right? Or vice versa. Like people are like, I don't know if I can work around this. You can. It's a mindset shift, especially if it's something you want to do and it's something you're interested in. So thank you all for being honest about that. Okay, let's just talk about this because we said this in the beginning, and a lot of you all said this is required. Yes, getting clear on your goals, like on your pivoting goals. Here's the thing. What is your motivation behind your career pivot? This is why I asked, and that let's talk about a question. What do you want for your career in life? Right? So now, what is your motivation? I have people who come to me and their kids are going off to college and they're like, wow, I stayed in this job because it was easy. I didn't have to think about it and it allowed me now to raise my kids. But now your kids are grown. So now what's your motivation behind your pivot? What do you want? One of the things, and I want you all to think about this, that I have my clients do, we call it the career life integration model, where the old model was like career or job is in the center and everything in your life revolved around that. How much money you made, what your budget was, what type of house you bought, when you went on vacation, everything revolved around that. Where you lived, remember, you remember the olden days and 2020 2019 where people had to live near where they worked. It's not like that anymore, right? Now one of the things I introduce is like, what if your life, you decide everything you want in your life, and then you have a career and a job that fits into that, right? So the motivation should be the type of life and lifestyle you want. If you like, hey, I want to move to Florida, I want somewhere warm, then okay. Florida may have a different cost of living than another area, right? If you're like, hey, I want something flexible because I want to be able to travel, or I want to spend more time with my kids or my grandkids, right? And you want to do these things, put that in. Write that first. What is your motivation behind this career pivot? If it's just I hate what I'm doing, that is important, but that's just one section. When I find what people don't get clear on their motivation or why they're pivoting, they go from one thing to another, and it's the same, like the same element. So in a few months, they have the same issue. So it's very imperative and very important that you get clear on what is your motivation behind this career pivot, and be honest with yourself. If you like, LaTrice, I'm tired of working hard. I done paid my dues. Like, I'm tired of working hard. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's okay to be honest and be like, I don't want to work 50, 60 hours a week. Heck, I had somebody, she was like, I don't even want to work 40 hours a week. I was like, bet, neither do I. Like, neither do I. Yeah, I've been working since I was 14 years old. So think about that. And here's the thing. I try to identify those like desired outcomes and objectives. So I want you all, I see some of the chat, but my exercise on this was like, this is what I have my clients do. And we'll take like a quick 20 or 30 seconds. I want you to close your eyes just for a minute, unless you're driving, and think about your ideal day 2 years from now. 2 years from now, right? Take a minute. Where are you? Let's just say it's 9, 10 a.m. Where are you? Are you outside in your backyard with a cup of coffee and maybe your laptop? Are you painting at the park? Like, is it hot? Are you camping? Where are you 2 years from now? Get clear on that vision. And I want you to really go there with all of your senses, meaning, what are you seeing? What are you smelling? Are you outside? Do you feel the wind, your hair? Are you in an office just chilling, right? Or are you at home in your pajamas about to log on for a 10 a.m. meeting? Like, right? Like, go there. What is your ideal day 2 years from now? At 10, let's say I love 10 a.m. Y'all, now that I have my own business, I try not to have any meetings start before 10 a.m. I have one meeting that starts at 9, but I was like, I get to design this. And as you come through, just kind of hold it there for a couple seconds. And then let me know what came up for you guys. What did you see? If you want to write it down first, go ahead. But writing it down, typing it down is going to help seal it in. But you want to get clear on your goals. Here's the thing, you don't need to know the exact job title, but you do need to know what your life will look like once you pivot. What are those feelings you want to have? Because if not, you're going to go to one toxic situation to the next, one job that you hate to the next. You're going to go and follow that familiar feeling, unless you're like, no, I want something better. I want something different. I'm going to follow my ideal vision and design for my life and career, not somebody else's. I'm going to check the comments really quickly. Doing yoga and meditating in the backyard. Yes. Let me just, is it Sharissa? Let me just tell you, that's part of my, I even have it on my vision board. I now consider myself like someone who meditates, and I meditate just about every morning. Like, but sometime before noon, it is my goal to meditate, and I do that. Gardening between meetings. Yes, Demetria. Yes. On the patio with my coffee and a laptop. Yes. Y'all on the beach with the boat. So whatever that is. The feeling for me, the feeling of doing whatever I like. Yes, Tiffany. Yes. 2 years from now, my ideal day is I'm living. Oh, in a new station at Bye Florida. Sitting outside of Orlando, feeling nice, cool breeze, and enjoying my journey. Yes, Erica. You all have really feel, yes, it is so freeing to meditate. Yes. Y'all, when I first started meditating, I couldn't even do it for 60 seconds. And now I can meditate up to like 20 minutes. I feel like that's a goal. That's a goal. Not feeling yes. Just to end the depression, I have money back would be okay at this point. Karen, yes. But get clear, what do you want to do with that money? If in the end, if you're like, I'm ending this depression, then what is the feeling you want to feel? We know you don't want to feel depressed. Do you want to feel calm? Do you want to feel joy? Like go there. That's going to help you anchor it in. Are you saying follow your own goals, Jonathan? Here's the thing. Despite the trends, I'm saying start with your life in mind. Start with your goals in mind. If not, you're just going to follow something else that may not necessarily work for you, and you're going to wind up in the same situation. That's what I'm saying. Outside in the garden, yes. A lot. Oh, everybody, I haven't taken up yoga. Peace and joy is what I want to do. Yes. Okay. Now we're going to get into the resume. Like now that we're in the peace and joy, we got to talk about the resumes, you guys. I have to talk about this, okay? This is, but stay with me in the peace and joy and calm. Stay with me. I always feel like resumes is a hot topic for people, right? When you are when you are pivoting careers, especially beyond 40, but even if you're under 40 and you're pivoting, there are certain things you have to do. You cannot take a resume template offline and start plopping in things. It's not going to work. Okay. So you have to adapt your resume for the career change. Let me tell you what that means. That means you have to use the language of where you are going, not where you have been. Okay. Let me know if this makes sense. So what I see, let's say you're in banking, and you all know banking, you all have very specific language, right? Compliant, the word compliance in banking means something very different of compliance and how they use compliance in healthcare. But let's say you're transitioning from banking to healthcare. If you're using all these terms, these acronyms that are very unique to the banking industry, and you're trying to go into healthcare, it's not going to work. If you feel like, well, they should know I did this, so I can do this. No, 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 no. You're not going to make them think. You're not going to make them pick up at the source or go in and translate. No, you cannot do that. I'll share with you all about my husband too, and how he transitioned out of the military. He retired. He's in the military in the US Army for 20 years and then transitioned, and now he's teaching, right? He needed a completely different resume. They even have a site where you can put in like your military words or your military job and it'll kick out civilian language. No, it didn't. And I was like, babe, I'm gonna have to do this for you because it did not make it civilian language. Civilians don't use words like civilian. Like we just don't use that language, right? But this is what I mean. It is a certain language. Every industry, I'm in HR. When I tell you we love our acronyms, we'd be like FMLA, SDA, disability. Oh my God, we love HR is an acronym, stands for human resources. We love our acronyms. But if I'm in HR and I'm trying to transition to finance, I can't use those acronyms. I can't use that language. Okay. So please, this is one of the biggest things I see hold people back. And when someone brought up mindset, it is a mindset shift. You have to see yourself already in that other industry, in that other role, in that other job. And so you have to speak like that. You have to show up like that on your LinkedIn, on your resume, when you're speaking and networking, you have to use the language of that industry or field. Okay. I'm going to go through this and I'm going to check the comments. If you all have questions, go ahead and put them in now. All right. And then not highlighting your transferable skills or relevant experience. And only doing that. I'm going to give you all this example. I have a lot of people who are like, I want to get into HR. And I feel like I can transition anybody into HR. You could have been a janitor, and I'm like, all right, you did some skills that can get you into HR. But let's say you're in banking and you want to go into HR. You're not then going to talk about all these banking things you did. What you're going to talk about is, who did you hire? What corrective actions did you take? How did you help retention and turnover? Who did you coach and mentor? Right? And that can be difficult because we want to add all these other things. No, you're primarily going to talk about what is relevant, your relevant skills to that new role or industry. Okay. Not everything, not, you know what, I used to be a cashier and counted a million. No, what you can talk about is managing a budget. What you could talk about is risk management and risk mitigation. What you can talk about is customer relations and employee relations. You talk, those are the skills. And so with the transferable skills, again, I see that language of like, we want to keep putting the skills that are relevant to the old job of where we've been, not where we're going. And if you're like, LaTrice, how do I learn this language? One, looking at the job ad. Two, if you're going into a new industry or new field and you're pivoting, there should be some level of research. Okay. And one of the things that I highly recommend, and a lot of my clients do, is informational interviews, talking to people who are in those roles. What are the languages that they use? Having them look over your resume. If they're like, I don't understand this, I don't understand that. If you have to explain something verbally, that means your resume needs to be adjusted. Clear sign, okay? And then crafting a compelling narrative for your career transition. You should be telling the story, and this is where branding comes in, of why what you've done is so amazing. It's going to be great here. I have a client story. I'm gonna kind of go ahead with Bridget, and she went from an IT professional to a health like a health advisor, right? And she did not take a pay cut. She was trying for 10 years to do this. And I was like, girl, tell your story. She written a book. She had lost over 100 pounds naturally and kept it off for 13 years. She did all this stuff, but all her resume talked about was IT. I was like, because you're not telling your story on here. So we had to rebrand her. So, yes, you need to rebrand. And what that meant was from top to bottom. Even in her interviews, instead of her focusing on her IT skills, she focused on her story, on her personal story. And then the fact that she had this IT background was an added bonus. It was the added bonus, okay? Um, I'm going to tell you all this really quick story about what I call it the macaroon method, where you all want to be like, the macaroon is delicious and beautiful, right? And I remember going to Paris with my daughter, and she was like, you got to taste these macaroons. Took me to this fancy French bakery. We got, I don't know, 12 macaroons for $60. If you ever got macaroons, you know they're like crazy expensive, and they're delicious. And as I'm putting them in my mouth, I'm like, oh my God, these are delicious. The only thing I could think was like, but do they sell chocolate chip cookies? I was like, I really want a chocolate chip cookie. Do they sell chocolate chip cookies? Right? I never got the answer to that. I want you all to think about this. When someone looks at your resume and they have a job, if you're giving them the macaroon, you're like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. But they're like, can you bake a chocolate chip cookie? Can you talk to employees? And you're talking about all this banking stuff you did. You need to answer the question, give them what they're asking for. If they want a chocolate chip cookie, you give them a chocolate chip cookie, you sneak the macaroon in the bag. You're not going to start with the macaroons. All right, I want y'all to be like, I'm giving chocolate chip. They ask for a chocolate chip cookie. If they say, do you have experience coaching employees? You like, yes, I have experience coaching employees, right? Clear as day. Not, I oversaw 72 people and this and this and that. You can give that later. Give them what they're asking for. The macaroon is the bonus in the bag. Okay. Let me check the chat. I see the chat blowing up. I knew this section was going to be good. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anything. You're right. Spending hundreds of dollars doesn't necessarily feel good. Let me see. Everyone has many opinions with us. I feel like it's hit or miss. One recruiter dislikes the pattern. So here's the thing. I recommend no more than 3 people looking at your resume. That's it, because you are right, Tiffany. Everybody has their own opinion, their own thing. I believe it's more important to have the right content than specific like colors and shape and things this way. You need to have the content is what will get you past the applicant tracking system. Being optimized. The content is what that recruiter is going to read. The content is what the hiring manager is going to see. Now, you do want it to be easy to read, and that's where the formats come in, right? There are certain formats that are better for like entry level versus someone who's experienced. That is true, but no more than 3 people. And those 3 people should how can I say this? Y'all know I'm trying to be nice. The Baltimore about to come out. They should have the expertise to give you real feedback. That's what I'm going to say. Okay. So no more than 3 people. And they should have the expertise to give you real feedback. And that may not always be a recruiter. A recruiter is a gatekeeper. They are not decision makers. I would more likely go to a resume writer, a career coach, or directly to some sort of hiring manager, specifically if you can get a hiring manager in the industry you want to be in. That's who's going to tell you. I feel like people don't read. People don't read in HR. Also, online apps, good and bad. So here's the thing. Here's the thing, Nicole. Yes, people in general, like regular people, no, don't read resumes. A applicant tracking system is going to glance and make sure you pass certain things. And a lot of times now they just have the little quizzes and things like that, right? And then they're going to rank you. They're not reading it line from line. And then a recruiter is going to review it and glance over it, make sure you meet the minimum qualifications. If you most likely if you pass them, then they're going to give you some sort of like first interview, again, just to make sure you meet the minimum qualifications. Now, hiring managers do read resumes. I've had hiring managers and I've worked with hiring managers. They will read that resume from top to bottom, backwards and forth, back and front. So everybody in the process won't read it. Like the higher you go, an executive and other senior leaders, they're not going to necessarily read it. They're going to be looking for certain things. But the person who's directly in charge of hiring you, they will read that resume. Okay. Takes me back to before the internet. What about AI reading resumes now? Same thing. Y'all, I got some things about AI. I like AI. It is not the end all be all right now. Right now. So even these companies that are using AI, the AI misses things. I do recommend another workaround. And most of, again, a lot of the stories I'm going to share with you all, they didn't just apply. Like that's just one aspect of getting a role. There are other things like informational interviews, volunteering, getting referrals, all these other things. Okay. I'm gonna come back to this one. I knew this was gonna be hot. I wanted, oh, so I did tell you all a little bit about my husband, and I had a picture, but he'll probably gonna be mad um with his story. So yeah, he was in the US Army for 20 years. He retired. He was in public affairs and logistics, right? Wore uniform every single day, had to shave, clean face. If you all know anybody in the military, you know you have certain protocols, certain rules. He did that to going to now he's teaching at a middle school, right? And here's the thing. Did you all know that public schools actually love military people? I got some theories on why, but they do hire a lot of military people because they're used to being under stressful situations. They are used to kind of people talking different ways to them. They can be very disciplined and very regimented, which is excellent and makes for a great teacher. But one of the things that my husband did, we completely reworked his resume. We reworked that resume. He actually volunteered, right? He volunteered. He started taking more trainings, okay? He knew he'd always known that he wanted to do this, to teach, right? So even when he was in the military and he was leaving, he knew he wanted to do this. He talked to other people who were in these roles. Okay. Even if they were in other states, they were still doing what he wanted to do. And he was speaking to them and having real conversations that really, really helped him. They helped him with connections. They helped, like, it was even some language I didn't know about the resume. They helped with that, right? So all of these things go into play. It is not just, I'm going to apply. You do want to do other things, okay? I believe instead of doing everything, choose 3 things that you're going to work and you can work repeatedly, and those things will work for you. Okay. So you don't have to do every single thing that you see on the internet. Oh, and when you all stay to the end, I think this is supposed to be up front. Make sure I'm going to tell you all more about the resume reviews. Okay. So the HBCU Career Center is sponsoring 10 people, right? So be sure to stay to the end. Yes, I have to make sure I have that in there. All right, I want to get to these mistakes. I want to get to these mistakes because I do want to come back to your questions about the resumes. I knew that was going to be hot, right? But I want to talk about the mistakes that I see professionals make when they're pivoting careers over 40, okay? Here are the general mistakes, and then we're going to go into each one of them. But let me know if you making any one of these, one, two, three, or four. Thinking you need to start from scratch. And I hinted from this. If you like, no, LaTrice, I've heard you got to completely start from scratch. If you think that, just be like, okay, number one. If you think you need to take a pay cut, this one is the one people talk to me like, no, that's a fact. Like, really? Really? Is it though? That you need to take a pay cut. Number three, feeling like you're just too old to transition. Like, I'm just too old. I've been doing this. I might as well finish it out. Like, okay. Or not recognizing your transferable skills. If you heard me talk all about that, you like, I don't know what transferable skill I got. Let me know. Let me know which one of these. We're going to go through them. I'm going to give you all some solutions. Y'all, thinking you need to start from scratch. This is impossible. You do not need to start from scratch. Here's one of the things that I have my people do, because this one and the pay cut are probably the top two that I get. People like, they know they want to pivot, they know they want something different, and they say, I just don't feel like starting from scratch. Like, who told you you need to start from scratch? Who told you that your experience, your expertise, your wisdom, and your knowledge, does it mean anything? That just because you go over to a different career, why does that mean you take none of that with you? That's not true. That's just not true. So one of the things I have my clients do is I have them come up with the 25 reasons why. 25, and we call it 20, you could be like 25 reasons why I'm ready for a six-figure job, but yours could be 25 reasons why I am the best candidate for the role. Let your brain come up with these. Because our first is I got to start from scratch. When you start writing down everything that you realize you have so much. You have years of experience, you have wisdom, you have value, you have expertise. The wisdom piece, I had somebody tell me, they were like, well, they're not going to hire me. They're going to hire some 20-some-year-old. I was like, okay, but does that 20-some-year-old have wisdom? Do they have professionalism? Do they know how to dress in the workplace? Y'all, I had a client tell me she hired this first-thing person, and she was like, LaTrice, they play TikTok all day. Like they go on TikTok. I was like, what? She was like, no, literally, like got their phone. Like, I was like, what in the workplace? Even at home, right? So here's the thing: you need to recognize you do have value. You do have value, and you need to take stock of what you bring to the table in any industry, in any industry. And this is why I love talking about personal branding, because your brand transcends environment. Like, I have a client, her brand is cool, calm, and collective no matter the crisis, right? That could work in any industry. She's actually in manufacturing. She's in manufacturing, but that can work in any industry. I have another client, part of her big brand is like people, processes, and enhanced performance. That could be in any industry. She's actually in IT and design, right? So when you think about that, it's like, oh, this can go into any industry, but you need to write it down. Sometimes we like, I got it up here and I'm gonna go in the interview and talk about it. But how you gonna get the interview if you ain't got it written down? So seriously, whether you put it in the chat, whether you put it in some pen and paper, if you hear me talking and I'm giving you ideas, you need to write that down. You need to write it down. And here's Bridget. Remember, I told you all about her earlier. Bridget had been trying to change careers for 10 years. Her big thing was she was a single mom. She was in IT, so she was making a decent salary. She knew she had a passion for helping people and in healthcare, but she could not. She was like, I cannot take a pay cut. I was like, girl, you don't have to. Like, you don't have to, right? It only took 6 months. It took 6 months for her to find this new role, making the same amount of money. All right. She had worked with other coaches. She had already been turned down before, like she had all these things. She actually told me no, right? She had all these things. And when she was ready, I was like, girl, we're gonna tell your story. We're gonna tell your story. Because she had a powerful story of what, again, she had already written a book. She had already lost over 100 pounds naturally and kept it off for over 10 years, right? She had this moving up, she had been progressing in her IT career, which could go so great for her. Because now in healthcare, a lot of it is tech. Everything you do is automated, right? She created a new belief system. This is why I say you have to believe this, right? And in less than 6 months, she had her new role as a wellness advisor. She was able to leave her IT career without a pay cut. So she was in IT for several years. She wasn't making no low salary. She was making a decent salary. And one of the other things I want to share with this is not on the slide, but another thing that we did for her is that I had to tell her she needed to start applying to companies that can hire her. So if you're like, I need to start from scratch and I need to do this, and then you think you have proof of that, if you're like, no, this company said my salary range is too high, then your salary range isn't too high, that company's revenue is too low. So that was one of the strategic things that we did was she's looking at these smaller companies where I was like, no. So she actually got her role for one of the largest healthcare systems in the state. Okay. So that is a part of it. If you think you have evidence against what I'm saying, I want you to challenge that evidence. If you're like, no, because this company said this, okay, well, what if it's that company and not you? Then you need to go to a company that can afford to pay you for the experience and expertise that you bring to the table. Okay. That's a technical thing. I love doing mindset stuff, but sometimes it's technical, like, okay, you just got to apply for a different type of company. Right. All right. And oh, I think that's what she's done because I wanted to put Bridget with the assuming you need to take pay cut. So this is kind of going to go with both examples. Y'all see how I feel about these pay cuts. My example was supposed to go with that one, you guys. Y'all see how I feel about these pay cuts. If you tell yourself you need to take a pay cut, you're going to take a pay cut. If you say no, 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 because this and this, you will find evidence of that. If you're like, nope, I don't need to take a pay cut, give yourself evidence. Find one person who's doing what you want to do, who's at the salary you want. Find companies that pay that. This is the thing, like you could be, I'll share this. You could be an HR. I have HR business partners. Salaries ranging from 60,000 to 160,000, depending on the company, the state, the duties, the structure of the company. All of these things fall into play. But if you're just looking at small to medium-sized companies, they probably can't pay you. They may not value your expertise. You need to go there. So the first thing, please do not assume that you need a pay cut. And here's going to be part of the solution. Yes, you need to that technical piece, apply to companies that can pay you. Y'all add your personal brand everywhere, everywhere. When you start adding your personal brand, okay, remember that's how you do things quicker, faster, better than the next person. And I like to include personal branding with also the problem you solve. And you can solve a universal problem no matter your industry, okay? When you do that, you are now not competing on price and salary. This is also good for the people who want to start their own business. I'm giving y'all gold here, right? I'm giving y'all gold. This is if you want to start your own business, these are the same mistakes and the same solutions, okay? And again, if you want to start your own business and you're like, well, I don't think these people can pay me, then you need a different type of client that can pay you. Okay, same thing. Y'all, you need to be customizing your resume to that job ad like we spoke about. Oh, okay. You also need to be able to show your value on your resume, your LinkedIn, your networking, when you're presenting, when you're speaking. Have a story. You need to don't make them think why, if you're in finance, why you would be great for HR. You need to tell them, I am great because I speak HR and I speak finance. I understand HR and I also understand budgeting and account management and accounting and financial management, which is hard, okay? Which is hard. And I'll give you all a hint that if you have a dichotomy, if you have things that don't typically go together, that's usually your brand. And you can highlight that uniqueness. And now you're not competing with people on salary. Now it's not who's the lowest or the cheapest I'm going to pay. Now it's who has this unique skill set and expertise and can come in here and solve my problem. All right. This is good things for you all to think about. Like, what is the universal problem that I solve? Right? Is it customer service? Is it client retention, employee engagement? Is it a compliance issue? Is it risk management? What's the universal problem that you solve and your unique way of solving it? All right. This is how no a 20-year-old fresh out of college can't compete with you on that. All right. I see the questions. I want to get through this and I'm going to go ahead and answer some of y'all questions. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Pivoting mistake number 3. And if you, and we've all been here. If you like LaTrice, I think I'm just too old to transition. I'm stuck in my ways. I had somebody, she was like, I got one more year. I think I should just ride it out. And I was like, ride it out. Like to me, it's like, well, what are you gonna do with your life? This is your second half. These days, people are working to their 70s. It's like, do you want to be miserable for the next second half of the 20 years of your life? Like, I want you to know you can transition at any age. I see young people be transitioning like that. They don't feel like I'm too young to transition. They go from job to job to job to job. Over 40, we still alive. We're still kicking. We're still learning different things, but we have the wisdom now. We have wisdom. You're not too old to transition, and especially doing something that you enjoy doing. And again, it make you that same amount of money. And I want you to know it doesn't have to be hard. Does it come with its own set of unique challenges? Yes, but so does everything. Everything we do. Staying in a company you don't like is its own set of challenges. Doing work that you hate is its own set of challenges. All right. Transitioning and shifting into something that would light you up. Is it going to be challenging? Yes. But does it offer rewards? Yes. Okay. So, solution, you need to know you are more than just this experience. You have so much more. You are enough. You can do this. And again, you need to really believe I am the best candidate for this because I have this expertise, because I have this. I had a client, she was older, she was in her 50s, and this was her hang up. She was like, I just don't know. I'm going up against these young people. I was like, well, then you need to write down and tell yourself why you are better than the young person. And she was like, what? Really? I was like, yes, you need to believe it before somebody else does. And once you believe it, you can clearly articulate that. You should be clearly articulating your value. You should be explicitly showing and saying that, okay? Explicitly. Oh, I wanted to share with you all. This is my client, Darlene. She worked for the same company for over 20 years and got laid off. Okay, over 20 years. And yes, I am a career coach, but I don't know if I believe in loyalty to these companies anymore because companies aren't loyal to you. So it's like, this is another reason you should be doing what you enjoy, right? But yeah, she was with the same company for 20 years. They laid her off. She knew she deserved more than what she got from her last job. She was having trouble landing like another 6-figure promotion that she desired. And she was actually in HR. She had been in HR for several years. That was mostly the whole thing that she knew, right? She was able to transition successfully, right? What she really utilized was her leadership skills, and she actually got a role making multiple 6 figures where she didn't have to directly supervise. So she was not using, so yes, she really anchored in the leadership skills, but then that role that she got was actually an individual contributor, right? So she was like, hey, I've led this team before. I can do this role solo. And she did, right? So she went from HR to being in like banking compliance. And she loves it. She has a flexible schedule. She can do what she wants. She's making the salary that she wanted. Her whole thing was her personal brand. She networked and she actually got well, she got multiple offers, but the one that she took was from people it was a employees she used to work with. This is why your brand is so important. No matter where you at, make sure you build that brand and reputation because when she went to this new company, she had networked and they were like, hey, we have an opening. They were willing to give her exactly what she asked for because her brand in this previous company was so high, was so tight. So she wanted 180,000 plus. That's what she got, close to 200. She wanted equity. She got that. She got a bonus. So her total comp was well over 200K and she didn't have to supervise. She didn't have to supervise. And as a bonus, she started her own HR consulting business. This is what I'm talking about. So one of the things she really utilized, yes, we did the resume, but we did her resume somewhat. We didn't spend a ton of time on it. Her technique and her tactic was really networking and getting referrals, and that's what worked for her. So during her time off, she traveled. She was all over the place. She traveled. She met new people. She had new experiences. But that was what she wanted to do. So don't I saw some of the comments about like applying to hundreds and hundreds of jobs. You don't necessarily have to do that. That's some people's practice, but you don't have to do that, okay? There are other ways to do it. All right. Number 4, not recognizing your transferable skills. Y'all be honest. How many of y'all like LaTrice? I don't know what transferable skills I have. Y'all like if you like and y'all, all transferable skills is it's like, okay, what skill do you have again that can help solve a universal problem? Here's a spoiler alert. Most skills that you have are universal. Leadership skills, customer service skills, coaching and mentoring, just overall people skills, interpersonal skills, IT skills, any skills with tech, um, most you hear people talk about transferable skills as mostly soft skills, and yes they are, but there can be some hard skills too that are transferable, like again working in tech, specific systems that you're going to see are transferable. Like there's a lot of things I can guarantee you right now. I was going to say like play a game, but well, I'll get to that. 95% of what you do is probably transferable unless you're making specific widgets that nobody ever made before. And even then, I would say that one of your skills would be attention to detail. I could say one of your skills is confidentiality because you're like, I'm doing this method, nobody else is doing it. Right? Like think about that. A lot of times we just think about the hard skills and like, well, um, I'm in the spreadsheet all day, right? Okay. And I hate spreadsheets, but I have clients in banking who love spreadsheets, right? If you love spreadsheets, then I wouldn't necessarily say love spreadsheets, but is it the analytics that you love? Is it analyzing reports? These are universal skills. Okay, these are the transferable skills that are universal. I also want you all to think about what you are already doing in a role, right? That is the exact same thing you would need to do, and if you pivoted. Because sometimes we like, I gotta wreck my brain. It's like, but what if you don't? What if you don't, right? So here's the solution: identifying and explaining your transferable skills, understanding transferable skills and their importance. They are so important because a lot of times we look at the job ad and we see a lot of hard skills, specific things, and we're like, I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that. But every job ad I've ever seen has had some sort of soft skill or skill that's transferable. You will always see interpersonal skills, ability to read and understand English. Like I know you all can do, right? Like things you can do, right? So here's how you can identify your transferable skills from your previous role. I want you to literally, you can go through and write down, just what if we take a minute and write down 5 things that you did today or this or last week, right? Just write them down. Did you type up an email, right? Did how many people went to meetings, right? Did you type up an email? Did you avoid conflict? Did you resolve conflict? But sometimes if you just start writing down what you did, even if it's a hard skill, even if it's like I went into sit into the Citrix system and ran this report, that's fine. Because the skill could be generating and analyzing raw data and creating, and like it could be like you know how to generate and analyze data. It could be that you know how to take analytics and turn it, or take analytics and data and turn it into and turn it into like an executable task, right? But you can start with literally writing down 5 tasks that you did. If not today, look at what you did last week. And then what are the skills required to do those tasks? And then once you have that, a lot of times, y'all, it's just wordsmithing. It's just wordsmithing. Like you email somebody, effectively communicate it with cross-functional teams. Like that could be it, right? Everybody, if you send an email, I need to see everybody needs to have collaborating with cross-functional teams, so collaborating with other departments. Business transformation. I'm giving y'all a goal. Everybody need to have business transformation. I don't care if you were just filing things, you transformed that business transformation, right? But you need to be articulating these transferable skills, not just on your resume. The reason I think you need to write them down and understand them and speak about them is because you also need to be speaking about this in these interviews once you get the interviews. But it is very important that they are listed on your LinkedIn and your resume. Okay. Y'all have, I want to see some of these transferable skills. Let me know. We can wordsmith it too. If y'all like, LaTrice, this is what I did. How can I wordsmith this? For the past 2 years, I've been caring for my mom with Alzheimer's. What would I write down for that? For caregiving, and this is interesting, you could write down something, I would say associated with caregiving. Do you communicate and coordinate with medical providers? Right? Like those how can I wordsmith? Um, what is it? Docketing? I don't know. Tell me what docketing is. Tell me what that is. Chris, tell me what that is, and we're gonna wordsmith it. Um, but yeah, if you look at those different things that you did in caring for your mom, because I helped care for my mom. She eventually went into hospice, but I helped care for my mom too, right? There are some things. Oh, paralegal work. Oh my God. Paralegals, y'all have amazing skills. I worked with paralegals before. Yeah. I really tell me which oh my God, for paralegals, you all are translating information into readable things. You all are getting so much information and putting it in, condensing it. I evaluate students to determine eligibility. Yes. I built an entire agent channel in a dead market and went 150% over goal in 1 year. Oh my God, Karen. Karen, this is exceeding sales goals or exceeding marketing goals. Like you could even talk about that as an achievement. Oh, sure. You're a speech language pathologist. If let me know if you're adult or child. My son takes speech therapy. These are so many things you could do. First of all, who's in this? You're an assistant principal. Assistant principal. Talk to the teachers, please. Y'all, in my program, I have a whole thing about transitioning out of teaching. Middle school. Okay, if you can be an assistant principal middle school, you can do anything. Skills, conflict resolution, training and development, leadership development. I can go on and on with this. What are your thoughts for using ChatGPT for wordsmithing? You can do that, but you may want to put in a job ad. Like you have to give it something. You do have to give it something a lot. Oh, Montessori program. I love that. Healthcare to IT. Oh, okay. So you're switching, um, like how my client did, Nakia. Here's the thing, in healthcare, you use technology. Y'all have the health information systems. Like that's an easy thing. You have to use tech all the time. Are you the one that people go to? Do you troubleshoot? Are you the one that help implement? Were you the liaison? Like you can use things like that in education and medical social work. Yes, switch to my own business. Yes. Let me tell you something. If you were a teacher, I don't care what grade level, from pre-K, Head Start school to college, you can do anything. Y'all have so many skills, and I think because it could be an undervalued um industry that sometimes you don't even see your own value. Literally, teachers have so many skills. You can go leadership development, facilitation. You can like how you manage, like I said, conflict resolution. A lot of times you have to manage your own budget. Like, I mean, it's not too many skills you don't have as a teacher. Let me be honest. It's not too many skills you don't have. You just need to be able to believe it and see those skills. So you may have to draw the connection for people, but you have those skills. So really quickly, I just want to share about my client, Ivana. I had a video with her, but I don't think we're going to be able to see it. But I have a podcast and she's telling her entire story. The interesting about the thing about her, she was actually in government too and transitioned. She felt stuck. She didn't have clarity. She was somebody who was like, LaTrice, I don't know what I want. I just don't want this. She was in finance. And for her, she had this amazing personality and she was already doing trainings. Like she was volunteering doing trainings, right? And what happened was she just lost sight of what was possible for her. And she had her daughters who were going to college, and she was like, now is my time. She was just ready. We were able to recognize her gifts. One of her gifts was she could easily communicate with people. If you're somebody who can talk to people easily, then that's a great thing, right? She could talk to, even though in finance, her coworkers didn't necessarily like it. It wasn't her. It was just that role she was in. So she could easily communicate with people. I always say, if you can get people to move, people would do things for her, right? And she actually got promoted from finance to a new career in HR and training and development. And that aligned with her so well. She was talkative, she was friendly, people liked her. She was already volunteering during these trainings. She was volunteering in other like associations, things like that. Since working together, she's already been promoted twice, just using her natural gifts and the natural things that she does. Right. And one of the things I want to share with you all that she did specifically is informational interviews. Because again, she was like, I don't know where I fit in. I was like, okay, well, talk to some people. Who's doing a job that you really admire that you were like, yeah, I could do that. So she started, I think she did about 3 or 4 informational interviews. And then when we landed on HR and training and development as that subsect of HR, the people who were actually interviewing her was one of the people she had had an informational interview with. So needless to say, she got the job and she's been doing fantastic in it. Okay. So I wanted to share with you all kind of like how it looks from beginning to end. Like you can go from stuck to having a sustainable career that you enjoy and love. And by using your gifts, right? And again, you don't have to apply to 100 different jobs. You don't always be like, I need to try to beat the machine. There are different ways to go around the system and around the machine, okay? I wanted to talk about this and then we're going to take a couple Q&A. Yeah, we're going to the conclusion. So I feel really strongly about age discrimination, you guys. I have, when I witnessed it, when I was in HR, I had a manager say like a terrible thing about older people. We did let her go, but I have witnessed it, and it's usually by people who have some level of ignorance, right? By some level of ignorance, and it doesn't always show the insight of of the entire company because they have one bad person. Now, if they keep that person, that is a problem. But we all know that discrimination, age bias is a real thing. We know that exists. What can we do to avoid that? So again, let's just recognizing and addressing, okay, it is in the market. But here are some things you can do. One, when we talk about the resume, and I'm a firm believer of this, make sure your resume is not unnecessarily aging you, meaning you can take off anything in the 1900s, take it off. Okay. I don't care if you're like, but I've started in, take it off. You can literally just say pre 2000 or pre 2010. I really like to stick within a 10 to 15-year time frame because there's not too many roles out there that is going to require more than that. Right. So anything in the 1900s remove. If you have over 20 years experience at the top of your resume, here's a trick. It's like whatever that job ad says, if the job ad says over 10 years, you're going to put over 10 years. Even though you may have 20, you're going to put that, right? So we want to make sure that our resume is highlighting our achievements, not necessarily highlighting our age, okay? So we want to make sure we're highlighting our achievements and our brand, not our age, right? You also want to always say like pre-address, like, so what people are going to see how old you are, whatever. And some people don't even look their age, but that's fine. You want to pre-address any concerns they may have in that interview. If you're like, oh, they may have questions about technology, you want to say, and I'm great with learning new technology. If you think they're going to have questions about how long you're going to stay in this role, you're going to say, and I'm looking for a company that I can stay with long term. Like if you've been with the company for longer than 5 years, at this point, that's long term. Then you want to highlight your loyalty and longevity in a company. You want to highlight those things, okay? You want to be able to like showcase your value and your expertise. If no matter that age, if somebody thinks you can come in and identify and solve their problem quickly, you're going to be the one. You're going to be the hire versus somebody that's like, I need to get in, I need to get all this information, right? If you can also highlight what you think makes you better. Like if you're like, hey, people with less experience or younger tend to make more mistakes, tend to not be as professional, tend to use inappropriate language at work, right? Then you can talk about how you don't do all those things, but talk about it in the positive, right? Okay. Um, and so during the interview, you guys, again, and in networking, trying to address things without speaking in the negative. So you don't want to be like, kids these days are on TikTok. You want to talk about how focused and dedicated you are, right? And how your dedication has shown over the years in these previous roles, right? And even if you've been like out of the job market for a while, I just had a client, she's been out the job market for 13 months and she's now interviewing with Fortune 500 companies for $200,000 and $300,000 roles. She focused on the value that she brings and her expertise, not gaps on her resume, not what happened to the last job, none of that, but the value that she brings. So you got to know how to speak about these things out of your mouth, right? And in a very affirmative and positive way. Like, I have these things. But what you're really doing is you're counteracting their objections before they even have time to think about it or evaluate. Okay. Let me know if that makes sense and if we have any questions about that. Um, I want to get to some questions. So I'm going to be looking because I know we'll go a couple minutes over because we kind of started a couple minutes late. I want to make sure we get to the questions. Let me check. I want to check this. Make sense? Okay. I said the same thing to someone else. Just use the dates. Yes. And let me tell you all, if you can't remember the months, sometimes I see my clients, they get so nitpicky. They're like, I think it was in April. You don't need to worry about that. A lot of times I just put years. You don't even need to put the months. You just put years and it's fine. Suggested language for proactivity addressing the lack of a graduate degree. If you don't, if so, you don't have a graduate degree, but you have a bachelor's degree. That's amazing. I have a bachelor's degree. Like you see, like I have never had someone say, LaTrice, do you have a master's degree? No, I have a bachelor's degree, but I make it like I can help you. I can solve your problem. If you're in the affirmative of like, I bring, let's say you bring 10 plus years to the role, right? Even pivoting, you bring 10 plus years of expertise in a particular skill set, right? You bring maturity. You see things differently. This is where branding comes in because you may have a unique perspective on something. but you can talk about it. And a lot of the times they're going to ask you questions of like, what makes you a better candidate, right? Or why should we hire you? And I would say, oh, that's a great question. I believe I'm the best candidate for this role because of my expertise and my dedication to the profession. I've dedicated myself not just to this expertise in this, but also learning so I can successfully pivot here. So I bring to the company, so I bring to the agency finance and HR. And you're not going to find too many people who have both. And I have a high level of professionalism and dedication, I would say, in dedication and loyalty to a company. What would that have to do with a graduate degree? Right? This is also apply when applying to senior government jobs. Yeah, okay, yes. So the thing with government jobs, though, let me give you all the caveat for government jobs. In a government job, it is certain things they're going to want to see. So they may want to see that month, and they are going to want to see every job, right? But with government jobs, more important than any other job, you best to believe you need to be explicit with the qualifications. A lot of times I even tell my clients, you can closely copy and paste what they say the qualifications is. If you have those qualifications, you need to have a qualifications section on your government resume and explicitly list them. Like give them that chocolate chip, like give them exactly what they're asking for, very closely to word for word. The only difference is they may want to see those months, and they do want to see some dates. But even recently, I saw one of the government ones, and they said you didn't have to put the date for when you graduated, for when you graduated school. But um, the government applications, they will tell you which they want to see. Don't give them unnecessary information, but sometimes they do want to see a birth date and social for certain ones. Okay. So just keep that in mind, but they will tell you. Should I apply for a job if I don't have the required years of experience? If you're pivoting, if you're pivoting, how can you make a case? Let's say you have 10 years in banking and you're trying to go into um, let's say marketing, right? And they're like, oh, must have 5 years of marketing. And you're like, oh no, I think I just have 1 year of marketing. How can you take what you've done in banking and make that apply to marketing, right? But if you're saying total work years, they're asking for 10 and I have 5, you can apply, but I would do something else. Like I would apply, but I would also be like, can I find that hiring manager on LinkedIn? Can I do informational interviews, right? So can you apply if you don't meet all if you don't have the years of experience? Yes, but is it true that you really don't have these years of experience? Right? Think about that. And y'all, it's just other ways to land a job besides applying. Applying is the minimum. When I see people and they're like, I applied to resumes and I applied to all these jobs, that's just the bare minimum right there. You do have to take other steps besides applying through the system. I don't know if I could remove the dates. I didn't know. Oh, yeah. You can remove dates. Yeah. They recommended, yeah, especially like if you graduated in 2001 or 1990, remove that date. Just, the main thing is you have the degree. I'm always shocked that the government jobs are requesting transcripts. Yes, the government jobs are different, right? They're going to request more. Um, However, the same thing when you talk about your branding, when we're talking about transferable skills, like it's those concepts are the same. Okay. How can I transition from medical social worker to hospitality? Oh, here's the thing. If you work in social work, that transitioning to hospitality, I would literally say you have hospitality skills, right? In medical social work. You have those customer relations, you have customer service skills. You have to get people to confide and trust in you, right? Like talk about all those things. What are the skills you need to be successful as a medical social worker? Those same things would make you successful as a hospitality worker, along with the pay increase with minimum hospitality experience. That's how you would do it. Yes, if you could be a social worker, you would be phenomenal in hospitality. But yes, talk about how you're getting people to open up to you. Because then that's like, hey, in hospitality, I can correct anything that's wrong. If I can deal with irate customers, I can use words like de-escalate. De-escalating a situation, de-escalating a client, a patient, that would be so good. That's a much needed skill in hospitality. I've been with my employer for 16 years. I feel like that I'm on top with my salary as an analyst and was suggested to go into management to keep my increase to six figures. I'm pivoting into finance. Um, and I'm taking other, oh, wait a minute. It just moved. Wait a minute. That's the richest skill game. I have a hard time thinking about going into management to keep an increase. You do not have, that's why I gave those examples. I have clients making upwards of 200 plus thousand who are what we call individual contributors. You can still be a leader and make an impact. So for you, I would be focusing on the overall impact. What is the enterprise level impact that you can make on a company separate from actually supervising? You don't have, finance is one of those industries you definitely don't have to. You'll see people being managers and things like that and directors who don't have any staff. They may manage a process, a system, a department, but they may not necessarily have any staff. Okay. So again, what are the skills that make you a good analyst? But you need to be looking at your overall impact on an enterprise, on a company, not that not just don't get in the weeds of the tactics. Like you can take a tactic and reverse engineer. If I wasn't here to do this, what would happen? Right? And then, but analysts in finance, that's not too far off either. So I can see you doing that. And no, you do not necessarily need to supervise. But what you need to be highlighting is your skills as an individual contributor and how you make a high level impact on the company. You can literally write those words, high level impact on the company, business transformation. You can literally write those words, okay? This is the easy transition. It's the best way to answer the question. In what ways do you improve your work skills? Oh, that's great. If someone asks you in what ways do you improve your work skills, I would just be like networking, meeting other people. I'm a great listener. I'd be like, and I do, if you go to conferences, if you're in any associations, heck, sometimes you could take free classes right on LinkedIn. But I would have like three ways and then I would tie that into my brand, Monica. So I would say something like, I'd be like, I'm consistently networking and meeting with new people. So I'm learning new things. I am a great listener. And one thing that I do is I take those things that I'm learning and I implement them. So I'm not just learning, I'm using, I'm implementing, and then I teach another person. This is how I make a company better. I don't just hoard the information. I make sure that everybody around me, that their knowledge and their skills are expanded as well. Let me know if that makes sense, Monica. That's what I would say. So you see how you could turn it into your brand, and that would go for any industry, any industry. And again, you're going to be talking about how it's an expanded, even beyond you. Like I come back, I implement it, and I teach, and now I've enhanced other people's skills at this company. All right, y'all, I'm a little bit over, so we're going to take 5 more minutes of questions, and then I'm going to be like, what are you doing? As a assistant manager at a nonprofit. I worked at non. All right. I feel like nonprofits and teachings, I got the same thing. If you worked at a nonprofit, you can do anything. And other years experience as a program assistant, program coordinator, sales. Wow. But I'm being told I don't have enough years of experience. I have over 5 years of work experience, but in different industries. Yeah, then you need to show how they're all related, Mary. You need to draw that connection then. And on everything, I would be like over 5 years of experience. And you can group this together. You can say 5 years experience in nonprofit management, in program management, sale and customer relations. You have skills in here. I would lump them together. If I was writing your resume, I lump those all together. And yes, you have 5 years of expertise. You can say, I have 5 years of success in, and then list three things that you have those in, right? And it would be a skill set. It would be like customer relations, program management, like things like that, right? But yeah, if someone tells you that, that's because you're not presenting all 5 years to them. I would be grouping them all together. I don't know how to describe what I want. I want to organize, train, lead. That sounds like leadership development. Yeah, organize, train, lead. And I personally know lead, you got trainers, you can go, sometimes you'll see roles for facilitators, but the sector could be like training and development. Sometimes it's under HR, sometimes it's in its own sector. And I know people doing this making upwards of over six figures. Thank you. You're welcome. Sounds, yep. Oh yeah, I see. Aisha wrote, yeah, it sounds like learning and development. And it's some things you'll love that. If you like to organize, you like to train, you're gonna love learning and development. And you'll see roles for like learning and development coordinators, learning and development managers, learning and development directors, right? You'll see those different levels. And again, look at if you know you want a particular salary, make sure you're looking at a company that can pay you that salary. How do I transition to a position I'm overqualified for? All right, an HR rep told me that my resume would never be sent over because my education and experience are beyond the job description. However, working in student services is really what I want to do. Well, in this case, and I don't usually recommend this, then let's say you have 10 years experience, but they're only requesting five, then I'd be like over 5 years experience. I remember, give them the cookie. Give them the cookie, right? And you may want to put in either a cover letter or in that summary part why you want student services. Like it could be like passionate about student services and making a difference in the life of young people. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to remember how I said proactively answer the questions they're going to have. So that's what you need to do is give them that chocolate chip cookie and proactively answer the questions on your resume. That's how your resume will, one, get past the applicant tracking system and get past the recruiter. When you get to the hiring manager, they may actually ask, like, hey, I see you have this experience. You seem overqualified. Why do you want this role? You need to have a clear cut example, right? And a clear cut answer, and then make sure, because their question is she going to take the money? Is she going to be happy? Is she going to stay? You're going to have to answer all of those questions proactively. Okay. Like, hey, I'm looking for a place that I can stay with long term. I'm really passionate about working with students and student services. I want to use my years of expertise to really make an impact and tell how you can make that hiring manager's life easier. Okay. All right. Let me know if that makes sense, Aaliyah. But that's what you want to do. So yeah, if some of you are like, hey, I want to take a little down, I want to go down a little bit. Again, give them that chocolate chip cookie, anticipate those questions, and pre-answer the questions on your LinkedIn, on your resume, when you're networking. And you may find yourself saying the same thing over and over again to different people. That's okay. That's okay. Oh, all right, you guys. Oh my God, we have so many questions. Thanks. I found the LinkedIn receives hits and jumps. However, I get a name and profile. All right, I'll answer this really quickly. If you are getting hits for jobs you don't want that you're not interested in, your profile is attracting that. You need to optimize your LinkedIn profile for roles and jobs that you want because you're coming up in a search engine. Recruiters are searching things you don't want. You have keywords matching something you don't want. Optimize your profile, put keywords on your LinkedIn that you do want. When is the next session? I need a part two. You all are funny. Thank you. Oh my God, y'all know I feel like you all are my people. I love doing this. Okay. Hopefully, yes, I think it auto recorded. We better hope. Um, Thank you all so much. This has been amazing. I think it's going to record all the questions. I did want to make sure, if you don't already, if you all want to keep in touch with me, you can follow me on LinkedIn on LaTrice Huff. And if you want to book a free call with me, I will be taking free calls at Calendarly. Can I copy and paste this? Let me see. I'm going to put my link in here if you want to book a free virtual coffee call with me. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. All right, here it should say virtual coffee. So calendly.com, LaTrice virtual coffee. Be sure to connect with me on LinkedIn too, you guys. I can answer a lot more questions. If you all want a part two, reach out to HBCU Career Center and be like, we need a part two. She's answering our questions. Let them know. Oh, I have a QR code. I meant I have a QR code. If you didn't get that link, you want to hit the QR code, go ahead. Again, I'm doing free. I'll say yes, part two. You all are amazing. Thank you all so much. I felt bad because I couldn't get to all the questions. So we got a lot of bonuses for you all. Connect with me. I have a guide on transitioning careers as well. Um, be sure you can schedule a virtual coffee with me. And then please remember that the HBCU Career Center is having an opportunity for you all to get a free resume review with me. 10 people will do it, but you do need to have an account with the HBCU Career Center. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You do need to do that. And you all have been amazing. This has been amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, if you want a part two, I think they're going to send out a survey. We need a part two. But you all have been amazing. Can I add the link again? Let me see. Oh yeah, because it's going up. Yeah. I don't know how to pin it, you guys. Yeah. I'm gonna hit save the chat, so we'll have that. But yeah, this is the QR code. And it's calendly.com/LaTrice/virtual coffee. Excellent presentation. You all are amazing. Let me tell you, y'all have been rocking it. It's so interactive. This is so fun. That's why I was like, I'm not gonna have a ton of slides because I knew it was gonna be a lot of Q&A. You all have been amazing. And again, if we didn't get to your questions, hopefully we can do a part two and maybe we just do like a Q&A session. But you all have a great night. Good night.